Drug-free hair growth supplement in the U.S. with one box being sold every minute globally. It's clinically proven, loved by celebrities, and recommended by doctors. And right now, a 90-day supply of Viviscal is being offered in your area risk-free plus free shipping. Call 800-481-7987. Viviscal nourishes thinning hair from within. It makes thin hair full hair beautiful, and promotes the growth of thicker, fuller hair guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, 96% of women would recommend it to a friend. Listen to this.
It's vibrant, shiny, bouncy, everything you want your hair to be. I love Viviscal because it works. It completely works.
Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls can try it risk-free for 90 days, plus free shipping. Get thicker, fuller hair guaranteed. Call now, 800-481-7987. 800-481-7987. That's 800-481-7987.
AM 560, The Answer.
Back on Get Down to Business, the show that's all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Check out my website, shalomklein.com. That's where you can download podcasts from the show and find out who's going to be on next week. So joined once again by a true professional, a true expert, Tom Figiel of Tandem HR. Welcome back.
Thank you, Shalom. Glad to be here.
So one thing that people often talk about Google is the culture. I think more people know about the office environment of Google than probably any other company in the world.
Right.
So what is a company's culture? That term is thrown around a lot. And how is culture defined?
Yes, that's a very interesting question, and it can be a difficult question to answer. Many people have different definitions of culture. And if you look up a common textbook definition, it will say something like it's a set of beliefs and values and norms shared by the organization. However, I like to define culture a little bit differently. So let's say you and I start a business. We will naturally start developing habits as far as how we work together.
Tom, when we start the business, I want a really good coffee machine in the office, please.
Yes. Well, that's a very important part of culture.
There we go.
But we'll also develop habits as far as when we respond to each other, how available we are going to be with each other to make mistakes, and the type of quality that's acceptable. So over time, these just become the way we do things. Then when we become successful, we're going to start hiring people. And these people are going to look at us and determine what's the acceptable behavior. So they are going to start modeling, and they're going to start copying the behaviors and the standards that we have. So over time, this becomes the company's habits of way of doing things, or in other words, the company's culture.
So culture is set, it sounds like, sort of on its own without a lot of thought, but probably a lot of thought can be put into it, as we'll talk about in a moment. I know I mentioned coffee, and
right.
I mean that. I'm not even kidding. I think a good office culture needs to have really good coffee. So you hear about it talked a lot on social media, in the news. I mentioned Google as an example. There are many other examples, a lot of companies that use their unique culture to attract and retain employees. Mm-hmm. Why is this so?
Yes, you hear about Zappos and Google, as you said, all the time in the media, and it's not necessarily the perks that come with the job, or the free lunches that they provide. But when it comes down to it, people want to go to work to express themselves, and going to work provides a lot of meaning to them. It's not just a way to collect a paycheck. So the companies that do well long term have cultures. They deliberately create cultures that allow people to express themselves and allow people to gain a lot of confidence from the work they do, and allow them to draw meaning from their work that they do. And that is what people want. So over time, that makes for a culture that allows a company like Google to retain all the high performers and attract all the high performers.
So we're talking with Tom Figiel of Tandem HR. Tom, are you suggesting that if I set up a pool table for employees in the lunchroom and provide free lunches and parties every once in a while, or even more than every once in a while, isn't that enough to keep people happy?
Well, some companies think that, and it's possible. There's a chance that that's all employees will want, but most of the time that won't do it on its own. And companies need to deliberately create the environment that they want and set the standards and set the example that they want from their employees as far as how they behave, how they work with each other, and that's what employees really want.
I think it's interesting to note that a lot of companies use those sort of tips for culture, like free lunches and a pool table, to attract younger, recent college grads, but realize that those recent college grads will get a few years older,
right.
and it's probably the same things won't entice them to stay as much later on in life.
That's true.
So what do successful cultures look like and feel like, really?
Well, you've heard the phrase that employees don't quit companies, they quit their managers. And that's still true. That's still true in my findings out there. So what good, successful companies do is develop a culture that has effective management and effective leadership. And a couple of things that successful cultures do is, number one, they share and communicate any type of change that's going to impact the person. They also share information that people could use to be effective in their job. They provide opportunities for people to grow, and they give them challenges, and they allow people who do the work to decide how it's done.
Interesting. So if our listeners take one thing out of today's conversation, I really want them to appreciate what can people do tomorrow at the office? What can leaders do to shape and create the culture that they want? Not following the news stories about Google or Zappos or any of those other companies, the culture and their environment for their small business, for their company.
Yes, great question. So one of the first things I would do is understand your industry and understand your business. If your business is making a product, then you're going to want to emphasize quality and consistency.